Hey everyone, this is Cypher here, welcome back, or welcome to my channel. So I was going to initially make this as a short, but since I have actually scripted this so that I actually can stay on topic, it looks like this will probably take me a lot longer than the 3-minute maximum time for a short, so this will probably end up being like a 6 to 8 minute video. I just wanted to let you all know that I won't be posting a full video on the recent 10th anniversary event and new survivor in Dead by Daylight, as I discovered days later when getting to the editing process that my microphone audio hadn't been recording the entire time. But both my killer and survivor gameplay, as well as the outro, which I'm really pissed about, to be honest, as it took a long time to do and everything was going perfect, or so I thought, and so sadly I am going to have to scrap it. But I figured since my commentary was recorded for the pre-game stuff and to make at least something out of all of the footage, I would come on here and make a video about what we got and my thoughts on everything. So first off, we got the new survivor called Shane Wiigwaas. I'm probably butchering that, but here are my thoughts on him. This is our new survivor. Hello. Yeah, so this guy, if you couldn't tell, is indigenous. I'm not sure if he's Native American or native something else, but I'm going to assume he's Native American. Yeah, if I had $1 for every time the devs released a survivor-only original chapter where the character was added solely to virtue signal to a tiny global demographic, I'd have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice now. Now, honestly, I would rather have this any day over another Orilla. Like, genuinely, that shit was so cringe. I don't really care that much if they want to add a native guy. Sure, go ahead. But it just comes off a bit disingenuous when it's coming from the same company that, used a fucking wheel of privilege to hire its developers. I wish I was joking. That's an actual thing. If you don't know about that, look it up. I kind of wish they added this guy with a killer or something, because I feel like that would have been way more interesting. For years, I've heard people asking for a character like this, and the devs basically just pussyfooted around it and didn't want to do it because they thought adding a skinwalker, oops, shouldn't say that. Sorry if there's any indigenous people watching this, I highly doubt it, but it's like they didn't want to add a skinwalker or a Wendigo or something like that because they thought it would be offensive or it would piss off those kinds of people. Bro, I wish the devs would stop listening to Twitter, because DBD Twitter is an actual cesspool. Like, if you give a fuck what the people on there think, you're just stupid. Like, genuinely, it is so rotten on there. They don't resemble the majority of the games community and what people actually want. So I really wish the devs didn't pay attention to those people, because they're just annoying. They just bitch and moan about everything. I would have really liked if Shane was a survivor counterpart to, again, like I say, a skinwalker or something. That would have been really cool, but instead we just got him as a lone survivor, which is pretty boring. Honestly, I feel like he's just going to be one of those survivors that everyone forgets about in like a couple weeks. They probably already have, to be honest. And it's a shame, really, because this happens with a lot of characters that they add. They just end up kind of going unnoticed. An example of where I feel like adding a character from another culture was good was like V, for example, because V came to the game with the Krisu, and I think the Krisu is fucking sick. Like, if we got more cultural stuff like that in the game, I would really like that. I don't know, I just feel like that would be way more interesting than just this, you know? Also, I don't like the hairstyle. I'm sorry, like, that shit looks ugly as fuck. I feel like they could have just done a lot different with him. I don't know, like, just something about his design doesn't really look enticing to me personally, and I imagine a lot of other people will feel the same, because I've just based off the reception that this chapter has received, it doesn't seem like most people really wanted this or happy with how it turned out, so I guess we'll see. The fact that the devs are now having to entice people to play this character for a certain amount of matches so they can receive a blood point reward, to me kind of speaks volumes. Like, that kind of just tells me that they're desperate because no one's playing as him. But anyways, we got his 3 new perks, which I already went over during the Jason PTB, which now have official image icons showing that they belong to Shane. I think these are a decent set of perks. My favorite one probably being Lend a Hand. It turns out that 4 permanent charges taken off a person's heal meter is surprisingly actually a lot. But here are my thoughts briefly on all of those. All of them are pretty damn good, to be honest. I don't really have an issue with any of them. Cross-examination to me would be good for indoor maps, especially, and if you want to run, I don't know, like a meme or gimmick build or something, then this could be kind of funny for sneaking up on the killer. Lend a Hand seems pretty damn good, to be honest, and Wide Open Throttle, I already went over that. That sounds a lot better in principle than what it actually is. It does require probably a lot of skill to really pull that off, because you are cutting off time where you could have, you know, extended the killer's blind with a flashlight. You know, all you're doing is quickly pallet stunning them, bolting across their direction, and after like a second or two, they're just going to be able to turn around and probably catch up to you. So it's a little bit difficult to pull off unless you're really good at looping. And with how long the pallet's blocked for, you will naturally have to use a pallet somewhere else. Unless you've got like your whole team running this perk, then you might save a lot of pallets in a map, which is pretty good. Of course, we got some new cosmetics for Shane. They're nothing too crazy to me, but they really did go full on native with a couple of them, which if that's your thing, then cool, I guess. We got some others where they tried to implement more of a relaxed streetwear style, which I'm not a huge fan of, primarily due to the designs on the hoodie and pants, which look pretty ugly in my opinion, and a bunch of recolors and redesigns of the default look, which there's not a whole lot to say there really, although I do like the red jacket on one of them. Overall, a very mid to lackluster collection of cosmetics, to be honest. On the topic of cosmetics, we also got a Silent Hill F collab, which is really cool, bringing us Hinako Shimizu to the fog as a brand new legendary skin for Cheryl Mason. I will definitely be copying this at some point, which, speaking of Silent Hill, I never actually finished Silent Hill F on the channel, so that will most likely be making a comeback in the next month or so before Halloween rolls around, so be sure to keep a lookout for that. And I never even posted the final episode of Silent Hill 2 on the PlayStation 2. I originally started that playthrough back in October of 2023, with parts 1 to 4 dropping throughout that month up until January 2024. Then I brought it back again from October to December of 2024 with parts 5 to 8, with it being a year and a half since I uploaded the last one. Crazy, I know. That's what happens when you don't actually commit to a game in 1 or 2 sittings with everything filmed and planned out, especially when I'm primarily a DBD channel, so I get distracted a lot by stuff going on in this game instead. But yeah, I will also be posting the final part soon, so for anyone that was wondering where it was, you'll be finally getting that in the year of 2026. Okay, I got really sidetracked there, but back to DBD. So I was thinking we'd get the Silent Hill 2 Bubblehead nurse cosmetic for the nurse with the Hinako skin, but apparently that one won't be dropping until 2027, so yeah, that's way off yet. And finally, for cosmetics, towards the tail end of the event, we did actually get a new Iron Maiden Eddie skin for the Huntress, which is absolutely insane, and it even comes with its own metal-themed lullaby, which sounds like this. So yeah, I would have never expected a cosmetic like this to drop for her, especially since the other Eddie skins were released for male killers. I can definitely see myself getting this at some point. We got this new archives area for some reason, which includes a bunch of unlockable items for viewing, which are themed around, I guess, the new Survivor and recent event. I'm not sure. It's all very random, but what this did confirm is that Tryks, who you might remember as a featuring character from a few of the previous anniversary events, has officially been archived, and I only have one thing to say about that. I'm to go. Oh no, guys. Oh, Tryks is leaving. Oh, what will we ever do? Let's go. Let's fucking go. I hate Tryks. Oh my god. I don't care. Her voice is annoying. I hate her, bro. I'm so glad. Rest in piss, Tryks. What else do we have here? Or a couple of things. Yeah, you might be able to tell I didn't really like her very much. Sorry. I'm not. Now, of course, finally, we got the new anniversary event to celebrate 10 years of Dead by Daylight, which, instead of the Twisted Masquerade, which has been going for years and honestly was starting to become a bit repetitive in my opinion, we got a whole new name and look with the food-themed Black Banquet, which did not go over very well with most of the community. From the inadequate supply of Toothy Torte offerings in the Bloodweb, which brought an absolute tidal wave of criticism and memes to the devs' comment sections on Twitter with the address me elephant image, to the absolute one-sided nature that this event had. It turned out to be a bit of a failure overall, to say the least. The event essentially worked by there being 3 main course meals, the stuffed trotters, the creamy pasta, or the baked camembert, and one of these main courses at random would be applied at the start of a trial, with each one of these coming with their own set of effects throughout the match, one being a global effect, another being a personal effect, granted to the survivors when they consumed a morsel from one of the many dining trays around the map, and the third effect being a banquet payoff, which took place whenever survivors placed 4 morsel plates on a banquet table on the map, granting them a team-wide buff which lasted for about a minute. The stuffed trotters giving a global effect of temporary haste to both survivors and killers after either a gen was completed or a survivor was placed on a hook, a morsel effect granted to survivors being a sudden burst of speed, essentially a rehash of the old Dead Hard perk, and the Banquet payoff providing a heal by 1 health state to all survivors on the map, allowing injured survivors to become healthy again and down survivors to be picked up and put in the injured state, which applied across all of the main courses, by the way, of which I found to be particularly frustrating to play against, as well as accelerating their current actions and increasing movement speed around teammates. The Creamy Pasta having a global effect of fragile pallets spawning around the map, with the morsels revealing nearby pallets to the survivors and making them briefly immune to hits, and the Banquet payoff once again healing all survivors, but also allowing them to rebuild and reset pallets, and killers would be prevented from destroying them. And the Bait Member having a global effect of portals appearing around the map, which were accessible to both survivors and the killer, granting teleportation to another portal on the map. Morsels would allow survivors to go invisible for a brief period of time, with the only way of tracking them as killer being either the movement of grass blades or corn where they're running, or their grunts of pain if injured and yelp sounds if falling from a height. This too I found to be a pain in the ass as the killer. And finally, the Banquet payoff healing survivors, refreshing their held items or granting them new ones via the portals, which would turn more spectral coloured during this period, and granting a small period of invisibility to the survivors, with the killer side being extremely lacking for gameplay elements, as always, because the devs apparently don't know how to make engaging and fun events for both sides anymore. You could poison the dining trays, effectively causing the next survivor to interact with them to receive a reduction to their sprinting ability upon consuming a morsel, instead of the effect that they'd normally receive. And no, I don't mean a bog standard hindrance effect. I mean a whole new stamina type system where if they ran too much, the bar would enter into a red zone where they'd become extremely slow, allowing them to be caught up with super quickly, and walking being the only way to counterbalance this in order for it to go down. You could also poison things like generators, pallets, portals, and banquet tables to apply this same effect, or by throwing poison at the survivors like a clown bottle, creating this sort of green fart gas in the air. So hype. And if a survivor placed a poisoned morsel plate at a banquet table, it would not count towards their banquet table progress, allowing you to sort of slow down the survivors in getting their team-wide effect. Once 4 generators had been completed, or only 1 survivor remained, a dessert phase would begin, where morsels and poison were no longer available to collect, and instead, the dining trays and banquet tables had cakes on them, which interacting with as either side would grant one of the following effects at random: either a haste boost, elusive/undetectable, or endurance or blindness immunity. Probably the only time where the mode felt somewhat leveled out for all players. As you can probably tell from what I read out, if you hadn't had the chance to play the event, it was very survivor biased to say the least. That being said, I had some fun as the survivor, obviously, but as killer, I was barely able to get more than half hooks a majority of the time, and that's as the stronger killers. The average to more weaker killers in the roster, yeah, that shit was a nightmare. Obviously, if the survivor team weren't as good, you wouldn't have such a hard time, but against a decent Swift or even a group of all skilled solo queuers, you could probably expect to have little to no fun at all. I will say though, at least the event was a bit richer than some other events they've released where very little actually takes place in a trial for either side of the game. Looking at you, Blood Moon event. That aside, the rewards were mostly good. I didn't feel super opposed to them. Maybe 1 or 2 of the masks, which I felt were kind of trash, but overall, not bad. Same for the store cosmetics, of which we received 4 of. No real complaints from me there. The order in which they're listed on the collection screen is honestly the order in which I would put them if I was to rank them from best to worst. But yeah, that's what I thought of all of the recent content. Again, it's a shame that the original video got fucked over like that, but, you know, I wasn't gonna post something with only talking for the first part and then 0 commentary in the gameplay and end portion. Like, nobody wants to watch that, let's be real. But do let me know what you guys think of anything I discussed down in the comments. I'd be very curious to know. If you enjoyed, be sure to smash the like button to let me know. That really helps the video out in the algorithm. And if you want to see more content from me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications next to it so you never miss a single video of mine. And with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I shall catch you all very soon with a brand new video. Goodbye.